President Trump now getting ready for a new executive order on immigration. We believe it will be this week, perhaps on Friday. A senior policy advisor saying that it'll basically be the same as the previous one with a few minor changes to satisfy the courts. This is what he said last night.
Here's the reality. The United States admits more people than any other country on the face of the earth. We've had a serious problem in our country of terrorism, radicalization, and serious problems of people joining ISIS, joining terror groups, joining al-Qaeda, and committing or attempting to commit acts of crime and terror against our nation.
So as we await the order, Karl Rove now live, former White House Deputy Chief of Staff to President George W. Bush and a Fox News contributor. Good morning, Austin. How are you, sir?
Fantastic, Bill. How about you?
Excellent. I want to get to three topics quickly, okay? First of all, on the rework of the Ninth Circuit order. Last hour, Chris Kobach was telling us if you do three things, you're okay. That is, change the status of the green card holders, allow those who have legal visas from overseas to still exercise and travel with those visas, and if you are here on a bad visa or a bad green card, let's say, allow due process in the U.S. before sending you back home. If you do all three, does it stand the test of the legal challenge, Karl, or not?
Yes, I believe so. I'd add one other in there. We've got an intimation that the Syrian refugee ban is not permanent. It will be timed, it looks like, and instead of saying no Syrian refugees ever, what they'll say is we're going to cut the cap in half for the number of refugees we will accept from 110,000 in each fiscal year to 50,000, and that means that you'll be more circumspect in who you allow in. But yes, and let's not kid ourselves. The White House advisor last night calling these minor tweaks, these are major changes because they created major problems at the border and they created enormous legal problems. We suddenly had, by executive fiat, an order that said if you are a legal permanent resident, which is defined by statute, granted by statute, authorized by law, you no longer are allowed into the United States. So that was clearly a major problem. They're solving them. The Bollock's initial order, though, I think is going to be fixed this week in good form for doing it.
Let me move to topic number two. Rex Tillerson will be in Mexico City today. Civil Secretary Kelly. I was listening to you make the case last night with O'Reilly. And you were essentially saying it's not that complicated. Enforce the laws that have not been enforced for, I don't know, would you argue 8 years?
Yeah, look, most of what they're doing is reinstituting programs that have already been in place. For example, the Bush administration, by spending a lot of money, ended catch and release. That is to say, we catch illegal aliens in the country, we release them on their own recognizance for an immigration hearing, and they don't show up. We ended that process in 2005. President Obama allowed catch and release to be reinstituted. The Bush administration was vigorous in what's called 287G, that is to say, setting up cooperative arrangements with state and local governments so that when they got a bad guy, a criminal alien, when they finished holding them, adjudicating them, putting them in their local prison or jail, when it came time to release them, they would provide that information to the federal government and we'd come and get them. So there are lots of things that we're going back to, but the hype is that this is a heck of a lot more. The only person who's an illegal immigrant in this country, law-abiding, after the initial violation of the law by coming here illegally, but has kept their nose clean, is working, contributing to society, the only way they're going to get swept up in this is if they're somehow caught in a criminal sweep. And, like we had the dreamer in Seattle who was living in a house with a drug felon, and when they came to get the drug felon, they identified him. But look, last year, under President Obama, roughly 2,000 of those kind of people were swept up in the Obama administration sweeps, and we didn't hear the outcry that we heard about the kid in Seattle.
Okay, and we're still waiting the outcome of that case in Seattle, by the way.
Right.
Two tweets yesterday. It's not a lot. Here was one of them last night. The so-called angry crowds in home districts of some Republicans are actually, in numerous cases, planned out by liberal activists. Sad, writes President Trump. Now, these Republicans have not stopped having their meet-and-greet sessions with their constituents. I don't know what your view of how long the sustained resistance lasts, but what do you think of how they are handling this so far, Karl?
Well, look, I think some of them have done quite well. Chuck Grassley went into it and took all the questions, answered them thoughtfully, listened to people as they expostulated, and then responded so that they can deal with this. I would say this, though. I don't think that was a good use of the president's tweet. It drew attention to it. Draw attention to the good economic news. Draw attention to what he's doing on jobs and the economy and paychecks and prosperity. Leave the political stuff, the political commentating to the people who, to pundits like me on television and his advocates and on cable news and on the blogs. The president has bigger fish to fry than this.
Thank you, Carl. So far, only 2 tweets today, too, so maybe you're getting your desire there. Nice to see you. Carl Rove there in Austin, Texas.